All right. Welcome everybody to a brand new course that I'm going to be teaching. My name is Shakim Allah, and I'm the lead instructor here at I'm in Tech Academy. And we're going to be building a YouTube clone, just like the one you're seeing on your screen right now. So if you look at my browser, you can see here that I'm actually working in my local environment. I'm not actually on the official YouTube website, but this particular project that I have set up is connected to the actual YouTube API. So I can literally type in any artist that I want to listen to and it'll pull up videos. So let's type in Drake, and you can see here it's very fast, it's very responsive. And as soon as I typed in Drake, it pulled up a whole different list of videos right here on the right, and it pulled up a main video here on the left. So this goes on and on. Again, you can type in any artist that you want to type in here, and it will search it immediately, pull up a video on the left side of the screen, and pull up other videos on the right side of the screen. At the bottom of the screen, it will have the title of the video, the channel name, as well as the description of the video that's displayed here on the left. So with all of that being said, that's the project that you will be creating in this class. It's a very fun project. And now I'm going to show you a little bit of the code for the project. So give me 1 second to share my screen. All right, cool. So what you're looking at on your screen now, this is Visual Studio Code. If you're not familiar with Visual Studio Code, I will give you an overview of Visual Studio Code in the course, but essentially Visual Studio Code is just a code editor. So this is where all the code is edited, saved, and processed to the server that we have our application running on. So I'm just going to show you a couple files here in the Visual Studio Code editor. Give me 1 second. Is it switching? No. So I'm going to stop sharing that and just share my entire browser. There we go. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code real quick. And I'm going to share with you my code for this project. So this file that you're looking at right now, this is the API key file. Right, it's not the right one though. Sorry. Not that one, but this one. Here we go. So inside of our project, we have a file called key.js. And in this key.js file, we only have two simple expressions. We have an API key, which we store as a variable, which connects us to the YouTube API. And then we export our API key so that we can use it in our application. So this is the actual application.js file right here. And you can see here that we're using React and we're importing several components that we've created in our components folder here at the top. So I will go over how to do this throughout the course, but for now, this is just an overview of how typical React applications are set up. Here, we actually import our API key. And here is where we use our API key to actually set videos starting from the 0 index in our array, going to an infinite amount of videos. And at the very end, this is where we actually render our application. You can see here that it kind of looks like HTML if you've seen HTML before, but this is actually not HTML. This is something very, very special. It's called JSX, JavaScript Syntax ECMAScript. And essentially, it kind of imitates how HTML would look, but this is not actual HTML. So we have a container, we have a navigation bar, we have a search bar, which takes a prop of a handle search, which we created here. And then we have a video detail. We pass in our video prop from our selected videos object that we created here. And then we have a video list component, and then we wrap up our container and we export our app. In our app styles.js, this is where we import our style components. For everybody that's not familiar with that, we will go over that as well. This is our index.css file. This is where all the styling for our application is found. So you can see here that we selected a font family of Roboto and sans serif. We set it to a width of 100%. We set it to a height of 100%. And we set a background color to black. So if I want to change the background color of my application, I can actually do so in real time. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to actually change my background color to, let's say we want to make it purple. So it's going to be hashtag 1E0161. I'm going to save my file. It's going to recompile. And then I'm going to go back to my application. And as you can see here, it immediately recompiled and updated the background color. So I'm going to show you how to do little cool things like that as well throughout the course of this project. Now back to the code for this project. There's another file I want to show you. This is just the index.js file. This is where we actually render our app and where we call the DOM or the virtual DOM from the root. All right, and we're going to go over that in a future video as well. And we also got a package.json file. This is very, very key because your package.json file is going to show you all the dependencies for your project. And so you can see here, we don't have a whole lot of dependencies in this particular project. We're just using React DOM version 16, React scripts, style components version 5, and the YouTube API search library 0.05. Under scripts, this is where we can actually run commands on our server. So if we want to start our server, we would run npm start. If we want to build a server, we would say npm build. If we want to actually test our application, we would run npm test. And if we want to eject our application from the React environment, we would run npm eject. And that's basically it. So that's just an overview of the application. It's a very simple application, nothing very complex here. And now that I've showed you that, I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to start sharing something else. So what I'm going to show you next is just going to be an overview of the class and everything that we're going to go over. So I'm going to make this full screen and voila, here we go. So this is the introduction to the 2023 TypeScript crash course. And in this course, I'm going to do a lot of things because I'm going to teach you basically what I wished I would have had access to maybe 10 years ago or so. So I'm going to teach this course as if you have no prior knowledge, no prior experience, and are starting at a beginner's level. And so in this class, we're going to actually compare TypeScript to Java because there are a lot of influences that TypeScript picked up from the Java programming language, such as the types feature and the compilation feature that TypeScript servers now use. So with that being said, that's just an overview of what we're going to be talking about. And the outline of the course is very simple. I broke it down in 2 intro sections. And in the first intro section, we're going to actually talk about what TypeScript is and what it isn't. We're going to talk about what's special about this particular course, what makes it different from other classes that you may have taken or may take in the future. We're also going to talk about TypeScript types and compare them to JavaScript types and compare JavaScript types to Java types. And I think this would be really helpful if you already know a little bit about programming. If you have prior experience with Java, then this will connect a lot of dots for you. Then we're going to move on to object types, array types, tuples, and enums. We're going to talk about any types, union types, and literal types. So that's section 1. Section 2, we're going to go a little bit deeper and get a little more technical, and we're going to talk about custom types, return types, and void types. Then we're going to talk about functions as types, functions as callback types, unknown types, and never types. And then in the 16th video, we will end that section, and then we will move on to something a little more fun. So the next section of the class, which is actually my favorite part of the class, because I took a compiler class in college, but it's been years since I've actually taken one. So I think this will be a good section for anybody that has been out of school for years or maybe never got the chance to actually take a modern compiler class, because oftentimes when you take a compiler class in college, they're going to teach it to you with C, C++, or C sharp, or probably Java, and maybe Python, depending on what school you go to. But I'm going to show you how the compiler engine works specifically in TypeScript. And so we're going to start out using watch mode. Then I'm going to show you how to include and exclude files from your compiler. I'm going to show you how to set a compilation target. Then I'm going to show you how to work with source maps. Then we will go over how to stop emitting files, how to use strict mode, and then we're going to show you how to debug with Visual Studio Code. And then the next part of the course, we're going to do the same exact thing that we just did with TypeScript, but we're going to do it with a Java engine. So we're actually going to do a comparative analysis of the Java engine and the TypeScript engine. And we're going to see a lot of similarities and crossovers between the two, and also a few subtle differences that you may not have been taught in computer science classes or in previous classes that you've taken. And what makes this different is that we're actually going to be debugging our Java with the Eclipse code editor, whereas with the TypeScript, we're going to be debugging with Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to show you how to edit code in two different code editors. And I think Visual Studio Code is the preferred code editor for React and TypeScript projects, front end and back end. Whereas I have more experience with Eclipse on the back end side when it comes to Java and Tomcat servers. Then we get to the really, really fun part to me, which is understanding modern React. So I'm going to show you how to set up a React and TypeScript project in your local environment. And then we're going to go over React State and define what is React State, what do we need it for, how do we use it, and then we'll do kind of like a comparative analysis of React hooks, which will be functional programming, versus React classes, which would kind of be more so object-oriented programming style. And of course, we're going to talk about asynchronous code, how to use it with API calls in React. There will be a section specifically focused on styling and CSS for all my front-end developers. So that will be very, very fun right there. And then we will show you how to actually test your React application in multiple environments: dev, quality assurance, staging, and production. Lastly, we'll go over how to debug React with certain React hooks that you can use, such as the use debug hook. And then we will actually go over how to deploy single page React applications. So that's the end of our understanding modern React section. The next section is going to be understanding modern Java. So we're going to actually show you how to set up a Java Tomcat project locally. And then we're going to go over some object-oriented programming concepts that you may already be familiar with or may not be familiar with. I'm going to treat you like you've never been exposed to computer science. So I'm going to go over a lot of basic things, but I think it's always good to know the basics, right? So we're going to go over abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, methods, expressions, and interfaces, how to test your Java application, how to debug your application, and how to deploy your Java application with an AWS server. So this is a really key part of the class, because when you actually start getting jobs, when you actually start hiring clients, most of your clients are probably using some sort of cloud environment, whether it's AWS, whether it's Google Cloud, or whether it's Microsoft Azure. I guarantee you, there are very few companies that are actually deploying their own servers at their own data centers in 2023. So you definitely need to know how to work through the AWS console and how to get host names, IP addresses, and how to connect to servers, right? So that's our understanding modern Java part of the class. And then the last part of the class is actually building a YouTube clone, which I showed you at the beginning of this video, and I'm going to show you one more time. And the requirements that we have created for this particular project to pass this class is that this needs to be a React and TypeScript front end, right? on the web side of things with a Java and AWS server on the back end. There are three primary features we will build for this application: a search feature, a upload feature, and a live streaming feature. Number three, you must deploy your project. We want to see an actual URL to your project in addition to it being available in your local environment. And number four, your application must be tested. So a lot of classes don't teach testing, or they may say, testing is not important, but this is something you want to do so that throughout the course of your career, you are adept at testing, and that in the course of your career, you will run across quality assurance engineers. You will run across people that specifically test your code. So understanding testing can give you more flexibility in your career because, for example, I was working as an engineer on a project, and as we were working on this particular project, we realized we hadn't tested a lot of our code, right? And so instead of me continuing to do more development for that project, one of the managers for that project actually asked me to do quality assurance and to test multiple parts of the application as we were developing it. So, because I had this skill of testing, I was able to have more responsibility at work. And that'll make you look really good if you're just getting into tech. If this is your first job, your second job, you're still early in your career, it'll give you a bonus point, I guess you could say, in terms of standing out from other people. Because honestly, most software engineers and most software developers, they can test, but they're not really adept testers. So this will just be a basic overview of how to test and deploy in multiple environments. So with all of that being said, I'm going to show you the application we're going to build one more time, and that'll be it for the introduction to this video. So again, this is running in my local environment. This is not the official YouTube website. This is something that I have built on my local computer and deployed. So if we want to search any artist, we can search any artist that we want. Let's say we want to listen to one of my favorite artists. Let's say Bone Thugs and Harmony. Let's say we want to listen to them, right? So we just type in Bone Thugs and Harmony, and before we even get done typing in Bone Thugs and Harmony, you can see here that we already have 4 videos automatically fetched directly from YouTube's API, and we have a full video displayed here on our left, and we can actually click play and it'll play the video. All right. So this is an overview of what you're going to be working on. This is an overview of everything included. I hope you enjoyed this overview. And that is basically it for the introduction. The next video that I'm going to do is going to be more technical. It's going to be actually getting started in your local environment with TypeScript and with Java. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.